Few names in Hollywood history shine as brightly as Audrey Hepburn. The legendary actress, humanitarian, and fashion icon captivated the world with her timeless beauty and profound compassion. However, fate dealt Audrey a cruel blow. From a childhood plagued by hunger and near-death experiences to an adulthood scarred by loss and trauma, and finally the battle with cancer that took her life, her story is one of strength, resilience, and grace. This is the untold, shocking story of Audrey Hepburn's life. Audrey Kathleen Rustin was born on May 4, 1929, in Brussels, the daughter of a family that appeared wealthy and well-placed, yet was fractured by irreparable cracks beneath the surface. As a child, Audrey moved constantly with her parents, from London to Arnhem and then to other parts of Europe. This nomadic lifestyle helped the young girl absorb cultures quickly and become fluent in 6 languages at an early age. But behind that polished, cultured exterior lay a painful truth. Audrey's parents were ardent supporters of the fascist movement rising across Europe. They even traveled to Germany to attend rallies, cheering for an ideology that history would later condemn as one of humanity's greatest evils. Her father, Joseph Rustin, took it even further. In 1935, he abandoned his wife and daughter, moving to London to serve the fascist cause. That became the first and deepest wound in Audrey's heart. Years later, she would confess, "My father's departure was the most painful event of my life. Nothing could ever fill that void." Then the war came. When World War II broke out, Audrey was sent to the Netherlands. Her parents believed it would be safer there amid the chaos engulfing Europe. But just a few years later, in 1940, the 10-year-old girl witnessed the German army storm across the border, occupying the peaceful land she called home. To avoid being identified as British, she changed her name to Van Hemstra, adopting her mother's surname. Audrey's childhood world turned into a living nightmare. She saw relatives arrested, 2 beloved uncles executed, and endured endless nights, wondering if she would live to see another day. During those dark years, Audrey did more than hide. She resisted. The frail, pale girl became part of the Dutch underground resistance. Her mission was to deliver secret messages for the Allied forces. Tiny slips of paper hidden inside her ballet shoes. Each step seemingly innocent, but carrying information that could save lives or cost her own. Every outing was a gamble. One small mistake could mean capture or execution. Yet, she continued, because as she later said, fear cannot stop you from doing what is right. What's remarkable is that even amid war and hunger, Audrey never lost her passion for ballet. Trained at a boarding school, she dreamed of becoming a professional dancer. When her country starved, she still performed. Small underground recitals took place in basement shelters where a few dozen villagers sat silently, listening to music and watching her dance, not merely for entertainment, but to raise funds for the resistance. Those dances were flickers of light in the darkest of times. Then in 1944, a devastating famine struck the Netherlands. The German forces blockaded all supply routes, and people began dying of starvation in the streets. Audrey and her mother survived by eating bread made from tulip bulbs and drinking water mixed with starch. Her body grew frail, her ribs visible beneath her thin skin. Yet her eyes still shone with quiet strength. In 1945, when the war finally ended and the Allied forces liberated the country, Audrey, the fragile girl who had once danced amid bomb raids, was free at last. When peace returned, Audrey refused to abandon her artistic dreams. She earned a scholarship to study in London at the Rambert Ballet School, one of Europe's most prestigious schools for aspiring dancers. But harsh reality soon set in. Years of malnutrition and war had taken their toll. Her health was fragile, and her body no longer fit the strict physical demands of a professional ballerina. Heartbroken, Audrey realized that the dream which had carried her through the darkest years, ballet, might forever remain out of reach. Still, she was not ready to give up. Audrey found another path to express her passion: acting. At first, she never intended to become an actress. The small roles she took were simply to earn a living. But those performances in musical theater allowed her to do what she loved most: to dance, to move, and to keep the rhythm of life alive within her. While filming a scene for Monte Carlo Baby at the Hotel Diarrhea, Audrey caught the eye of the legendary French writer and actress Colette. "I know you think of yourself as just a child," Colette told her bluntly, then asked if Audrey would like to play the lead in her Broadway play, She. Within a single month, it seemed as if the stars themselves had aligned for her. In less than 30 days, two of the grandest doors in entertainment, Broadway and Hollywood, swung open for the young woman barely in her 20s. While preparing for She in New York, legendary director William Wyler happened to watch Audrey's screen test. He was searching for the female lead for Roman Holiday, and his original choice had been Elizabeth Taylor. But the moment he saw Audrey on screen, all his plans vanished. "That's her," Wyler said. "That's the princess I need." At that very moment, Gregory Peck, one of Hollywood's biggest stars, recognized what the world had not yet seen: a star in the making. Peck himself insisted that Audrey Hepburn's name be placed alongside his on the film's poster. An extraordinary gesture for a newcomer. And indeed, Roman Holiday didn't just bring Audrey to Hollywood, it completely redefined the standard of beauty on screen. In an era dominated by the sultry allure of Grace Kelly and Marilyn Monroe, Audrey appeared like a breath of fresh air. She didn't need a voluptuous figure or a seductive smile, just a tilt of her head, a gaze both shy and self-assured. And the audience was instantly captivated. Her portrayal of Princess Anne was both delicate and strong, the perfect blend of femininity and modern independence. Her short hair, thick eyebrows, slender neck, and fragile shoulders formed a look that was uniquely her own. In 1954, photographer Cecil Beaton described her as the public embodiment of the new feminine ideal, a woman who dared to step outside the rigid mold of Hollywood beauty. When Roman Holiday premiered, Audrey became a global sensation. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress in her very first leading role, an extraordinary achievement few could ever claim. Just 3 days later, she earned a Tony Award for her performance in the Broadway play Undine. To the public, she was no longer the timid, wide-eyed girl. She was Audrey Hepburn, the embodiment of beauty, talent, and grace. But with dazzling fame came inevitable shadows. In Sabrina, 1954, Audrey starred opposite Hollywood legends Humphrey Bogart and William Holden. Bogart, used to glamorous and sultry co-stars, was unimpressed by the youthful newcomer. He remained distant, even irritated, believing the role should have gone to his wife, Lauren Bacall. Holden, however, was instantly smitten. A tender yet secret romance bloomed between the two, quiet, passionate, and doomed. Holden was a married man battling his own demons, alcohol, loneliness, and the fear of fading away under Hollywood's relentless lights. Audrey, on the other hand, longed for a stable home and children, but soon discovered the man she loved couldn't provide that. Holden had undergone a vasectomy. When he proposed, Audrey gently refused. She chose clarity over heartbreak, leaving Holden with a shattered heart. Years later, it was said he never forgot her. While Audrey looked back on their affair as a bittersweet interlude in the bright symphonic melody of her youth, the success of Roman Holiday awakened Hollywood. A new era of actresses shaped in Audrey Hepburn's mold had begun. Amidst fame's whirlwind, Audrey met Mel Ferrer, a close friend of Gregory Peck, twice married, father of 4, and much older. Yet when they spoke, barriers disappeared. Perhaps Audrey saw in him a soul who had known love and loss, and understood peace's value, something she had sought amid stardom's storms. They quietly wed in Switzerland in September 1954, believing they began life's most beautiful chapter. But happiness was soon tested by silent sorrows. Soon after, Audrey became pregnant with her first child. The news filled her with light. A woman who endured war, hunger, and loneliness was finally on the verge of motherhood, but fate was unkind. In 1955, Audrey suffered a miscarriage. The loss shattered her, though she hid tears behind her gentle smile and continued working as if her world hadn't quietly fallen apart. 4 years later, hope returned. Audrey became pregnant again, heart full of faith and anticipation. But during filming of The Unforgiven, 1959, tragedy struck. She fell from a horse, breaking her back. Physical pain paled compared to the terror of losing another child. Even in a brace and enduring agony, Audrey persevered, finishing the film without complaint or self-pity. Yet heartbreak returned. She miscarried a second time, nearly collapsing under grief's weight. Still, she never stopped hoping life held kindness for her. And she was right. On July 17, 1960, Audrey gave birth to her first son, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. As she held him, tears mingled with a smile. To Audrey, he was more than a baby. He was a miracle, a gift earned through every pain and loss she endured as a woman walking a fragile line between hope and heartbreak. Less than a year later, Audrey stepped into the role that would cement her legend, Holly Golightly in Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961. Ironically, even as a major star, she faced skepticism. Truman Capote, author of the novella, had wanted Marilyn Monroe, not Audrey. When Monroe declined, fearing the role would damage her reputation, Capote was furious that Audrey was cast. His presence on set made Audrey anxious. She later admitted she didn't consider herself natural for the part. "I'm not a sexy, daring woman like Holly." That self-doubt took a toll. She lost significant weight, her slender frame growing even more fragile. Yet, from that fragility, Audrey created something extraordinary, transforming Holly from a carefree, seemingly shallow girl to a timeless icon of elegance and emotional depth. From the little black Givenchy dress, oversized sunglasses, and pearl necklace to her signature updo, every detail became an iconic symbol in American cinema. Off-screen, Audrey's relationship with her appearance was complex. Though adored worldwide as a beauty standard, she didn't always love what she saw in the mirror. No admiration shielded her from quiet insecurities following her through life. To her, she was simply ordinary. But to fashion designer Hubert de Givenchy, she was an eternal muse. When they met during Sabrina's preparation, Givenchy expected to work with Katharine Hepburn. Instead, Audrey arrived gentle, gracious, radiant. The moment she wore his designs, he knew he had found his muse. Their partnership became legendary, creatively not romantically, shaping Audrey Hepburn's image, pure yet sophisticated, fragile yet powerful. As Givenchy said, "She doesn't wear my clothes, she gives them life." Though her fame soared, the scars left by war, loss, miscarriages, and the ceaseless pressure of fame never fully healed. These silent shadows perhaps made her light so extraordinary, defined by kindness, resilience, and boundless grace. Throughout her life, Audrey was haunted by her father's abandonment. Critics suggest this trauma led her to unconsciously seek father figures in relationships. Her husband Mel Ferrer often played this role, controlling her career with an iron grip. Over time, Audrey's love faded. After 14 years, their marriage quietly ended. Whispers of his authoritarianism and her weariness of imposed boundaries surfaced. Rumors of infidelity from both deepened cracks. Strangely, it was after this divorce Audrey truly began rediscovering herself, a turning point defining her life. In 1967, at fame's height, she shocked all by walking away from Hollywood. The lights, red carpets, acclaim all suddenly hollow. She realized she had lost her son Sean's childhood, something dearer than fame. Having grown up without her own father's love, she feared the same emptiness for her son. She vowed to be the best mother, even if it cost everything else. That same year, fate brought Andrea Dotti, a charming Italian psychiatrist, into her life. To Audrey, he was a breath of fresh air, a gentle escape from past ghosts. They married in 1970, settled in Rome, and had a son, Luca. Their early life was idyllic mornings scented with Italian coffee, afternoons wandering jasmine-lined streets. Audrey thought she had found her fairy tale, but real life proved harsher. Dotti turned out to be a notorious womanizer, his affairs exposed by Italian tabloids, shocking that he had over 200 women in his life. Audrey, true to form, refrained from public drama, quietly withdrawing as her heart broke. She returned to acting in Robin and Marian opposite Sean Connery, reminding the world she was still there. But by bloodline she was entangled in another forbidden affair with co-star Ben Gazzara. Two wounded souls found solace, but both the affair and her failing marriage ended in quiet heartbreak. After her final screen return, Audrey left Hollywood forever, moving to Tolochinas, Switzerland, in a modest home named Lesla, meaning peaceful. There she walked dogs along cobblestone paths without recognition, away from cameras and red carpets. In Switzerland she was no longer a movie star, but a woman learning to forgive her past. There she met Robert Wolders, who revived her heart. He'd been married to actress Merle Oberon and, after her death, sold her jewelry to donate the proceeds to charity, a compassionate act that deeply moved Audrey. With him, she found the warmth, generosity, and love without control she had always sought. "He didn't want to change me," Audrey said. "He just wanted me to be happy." For a time, she found peace in her quiet corner of the world, yet destiny knocked once more. At a UNICEF fundraising concert, Audrey spoke of her war memories, the little girl hiding in bomb shelters, fainting from hunger during the Dutch famine. Her words silenced the audience. Afterwards, the UNICEF executive director approached her and said simply, "We need you." From that moment, her life took a new direction. She became a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, traveling across dozens of countries in Africa and Asia, bringing food, aid, and hope to starving children. The lights shining on her were no longer from film sets, but the blazing sun of distant arid lands. Audrey never complained, showing tenderness toward every child she met, perhaps the most beautiful moment of her life. By the 1960s, Audrey felt the need to find her father, the man whose absence haunted her childhood. With the Red Cross's help, she traced Joseph Rustin amid the chaos of wartime Europe. When they reunited in Dublin decades later, the man was distant and cold, shattering her hopes. Yet Audrey chose forgiveness, quietly supporting him financially for the rest of his life, a simple act revealing her grace and humanity. 3 decades later, Audrey faced her final test. In 1992, after a difficult UNICEF mission in Somalia, she began suffering severe abdominal pain. Doctors found a rare cancer silently growing within her for years. She met the diagnosis with calm strength, the same she'd shown through war, loss, and solitude. Undergoing surgery and chemotherapy in Los Angeles, when hope waned, her friend Hubert de Givenchy arranged a private jet to take her home to Switzerland, where she could rest surrounded by love and serenity. In her final days, Audrey chose nature's quiet embrace over the spotlight, her small garden, the sunlight and birdsong outside her window. Though frail, she radiated a gentle light, bringing peace to all around her. On January 20th, 1993, she passed away peacefully in her sleep at 63. Audrey Hepburn never saw herself as a movie star, but the world did. She became a timeless symbol of elegance, empathy, and beauty. With an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, she was not only a Hollywood legend, but living proof that true beauty lies not in appearance, but in love for the world.